Well, I was married before, and I was working in a grocery chain. I was in management and everything. My wife, at that point, told me, I don't love you anymore. She was working at Hollins College. She was starting to knick-knack around with, people of, you may say, stature, school presidents, some people in the legislature and all like that. We just drifted apart, and I just had to cut that part out of my life or I couldn't go on. But I met somebody about 4 years later, and we've been married 46 years. God is good. He'll always bring you to the point of where you need to be. I'm not going to say I lived right. Everything I did was right with her. I probably did some things wrong with my first wife, but she just didn't like the life I could provide. So I had to just cut that chain and not struggle with it and just go on living my life like I believe God wanted me to.
A lot of people doing a lot of negative things, and it was bringing me down as well. So I just really just cut them off because I didn't want to feel negative in certain situations that shouldn't go that far into negativity, but just stay positive. Really all my few things that I cut people off was just, they were super negative through like little things and big things, and they'll just take negativity to a whole nother extent and just stay negative for weeks, months, sometimes years. And I wasn't really feeling that because I'm really like a positive person. Like just every day, like I just wake up and just want to be positive. If I go through something, I'm gonna be positive. Basically like the first question you asked me. So just really just cutting people off because of negativity and bringing other people down too that they come in contact with. One was, I had like a really close friendship with somebody, and something happened to them, and he came and talked to me about it, whatever, but I gave him positive insight on it because it never happened to me, so I just gave him like something to be positive about what was going on and just stay positive. And he just kept going towards it like with negativity, and then he would tell other people, and then they would give him not so positive, things to do about it, but they would give like a negative downside, and he just kept taking that negative and bringing it around me and just around his other people that he hung out with, and it really changed him as a person. Because that wasn't who he really was. Like he really was really like positive and just a great person, but that negativity just like brought him down to just be somebody different. So I had to really let him go, most definitely.
Maybe about a year ago, had some friends that just weren't good influences for me, so I had to cut them out of my life just so I could be a better person. They were just doing things like that were not, unethical in public and stuff that's just not good. Just not good for your emotions and stuff, so I had to cut them out.
When I was young, I had a mentor for my sport, and he did some really bad things with the business. He did some really bad things with family. We were really close. He kind of became an older brother figure for me, and then after we kind of found out about everything, I kind of just had to cut him out. It happened really fast, happened really suddenly, but had to happen because he just turned out to not be a good guy behind the scenes. So I felt betrayed. I felt, some trust issues definitely stemmed from that, for sure. Just again, he had, I'd gone out with him. Like he had lived, he was renting a room in our house, and I went out with him a lot, and like he would take me out. We'd go get, just hang out before we had to go to our sport or whatever, and definitely felt betrayed and hurt. But that was a long time ago, and I've definitely recovered from it. But yeah.
There was a time in my life where I was too compassionate towards people, and I ended up giving too much of myself to others to the point where I was starting to get hurt mentally, like mental health issues. And so there was an individual who just constantly needed reassurance from me, and I was pouring myself into them a lot. And I just realized that it was just a take relationship. I was giving and they were taking. It was hard because we'd been friends for 8-9 years, but I realized that if I didn't cut them out, I was just going to be drugged down with them. So it was a hard choice, but it was the right choice.
We got one together. Yeah.
He was a solid friend of ours. Things just got weird with him, and he got real clingy. Couldn't ever do anything without him being there, But he wasn't in a mental state to do things that we wanted to do, so that would always bring us down. every time we hung out with him, it would be just depressing.
It's hard to do that too. Like,
we were all in kind of a bad state, and then we thought he was just somebody to connect with, but really it was just making it worse.
Yeah.
We both kind of just stopped talking with him after that.
Hell, the last time I really stopped talking to him was his birthday. I had a lot of stuff going on at the house, and he, the one on the right, on the left in the white shirt, didn't live with me at the time, and he had to go back to South Carolina. Well, we told him on his birthday, we're like, hey man, we gotta leave early. We can't be here all day. He got really mad, and it almost became like you were dating the guy. You know, it was just like
we were just friends, and then we got real close, and it was like he needed to know everything about us.
Yeah, what
he
you're doing, where you're going,
where we're going, tell us when you're
hang
safe.
out. Like,
I don't know. At a certain point, it was like you were dating him, and we just needed to step back and be friends at that point, you know.
At the time, it feels bad. You feel like a horrible person.
Whenever you just step back and just want to take a break from it, he's mad at you.
Yeah.
So I just kind of up and stopped talking with him. I feel really bad about it sometimes, but
yeah, I think about it every once in a while. I'm like, man, like if things were different, you know, that's mental health for you. You know, it's nobody's fault. It's just, you know, we all have those days and those time periods in our life. Yeah, it's this thing. It's a boundary. It's nothing personal against anybody. We all have boundaries. You know, it's an important thing to have.
I would say when I had to move up here, I used to live in South Carolina. I had to move up here, so I had to cut a bunch of people out of my life. And I mean, it may have been hard at that time, but you know, you push through it and you meet all these new people and stuff like that, and you just find new people. So you just gotta cut them out of your life and get new ones.
Well, kind of going back to what I was telling you, I was just being young and figured a certain crowd was just gonna be doing the same thing, and I had to get myself away from that. I mean, I didn't talk bad about it, just, I don't know, every weekend trying to go out, party, drink, and it just got old.
I've had cut a lot of people out of my life because they have toxic traits about them. I'm better off alone with my cats.
One was a longtime friend, like childhood friend. I guess when we became adults, just got lost in a lot of things for himself. Unfortunately, came down to our living situation, but this person unable to understand the problem I was experiencing with what he was doing kind of was the part that tipped it over. Kind of made it like no one else mattered but themselves.
I have just started learning to do that. People who are toxic to me, I feel like I am getting negative vibes from them. I just try to ignore them as much as possible. I start with deleting people from Facebook or Instagram. People, I think that their posts are negative to me, and maybe I'm not helping my mental health with those posts and everything, so I try to delete them first, and then that's how, I start.
Recently, friends go in and out of your life a lot, but if they're too negative or if they put you down or if they don't build you up, then probably about even a year ago, they were always putting my family down and saying I couldn't do something or I should stay for a certain reason. I'm just like, you know what, I don't need this in my life. I don't need that negativity. And it's a good thing it wasn't like a family member, it was just a friend. But after doing that, I realized that they were putting me down to make themselves feel better. It was, of course, like sad because she was a good friend, she was fun, but just because she was fun does not mean she was good for me. So I feel better, more open, I guess.
It's happened quite a few times. Yeah, it's just sometimes you meet people and you don't know much about them when you first meet them. Over the time you're with them or whatever, you get to know them a little better, and sometimes people are just bad seeds, and you got to weed that out of your life or it's going to drag you down too. And, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's not so bad. I've had a friend that met someone online, had that person uproot their life and move to the city where he's at, and got her pregnant and then kicked her out of his apartment, you know? So I was like, well, I don't want to be friends with a guy like that, you know? We were friends for years before he did that. But at that point, I was like, man, he just did her wrong. There's nothing I could really do about it. But it's like, I don't want to be friends with someone like that. So you just you gotta do it. Might hurt, but you gotta do it sometimes.
I'm the type of person that will keep the bridge, at least my side of the bridge, alive, no matter what. So that happens very, very rarely for me. I did have a very close friend that it just ended up being the best thing to just kind of go our separate ways. That was hard for me to work through, but I think it was definitely good for both of us. And I appreciate the friendship in the time in the season when it was.
Probably an ex-girlfriend, maybe. I just had to, leave her alone. Had to leave that alone, definitely. It's bad memories. Yeah, it's been a long time, and you just gotta cut that out. And there were some friends, like I was saying, when I had to grow up and take care of my mom and stuff, I had to cut some of them out, leave some of that old party life and stuff behind, so part of the growing process.
Probably when they just started getting in all this trouble with the law, and I wasn't trying to be a part of it. It was a close friend for a whole life.
I don't like to just be rude and cut people out. I guess I'm very indecisive. I just kind of leave if I have to, I just kind of walk away, and I've never really had trouble doing that, I guess. Friends come and go. I've had some falling out with some former roommates, past relationships, that sort of thing. It happens to everyone, I think.
That kind of goes along with what I was saying a little while ago. We're getting my priorities mixed up. I got involved with some people that basically were toxic relationships, and my focus was on those relationships and trying to make them work when they were never meant to be in the first place. And I kind of knew I was going against God's will, but I was so determined to make those relationships work that I ended up getting really hurt. Very deeply. Those people were not people that had the same values or priorities in their lives that I strive to have. And like I said earlier, it's an ongoing process. I'm always learning and growing, but I think for everyone, they need to be with people that bring out the best in them, that love and accept them for who they are while encouraging them to be and do their best. And anybody that brings you down, if they're bringing you down more than they're lifting you up, then you need to get rid of that relationship, no matter who it is. You need to distance yourself and just focus on yourself and taking care of yourself and your relationship with God, and then let Him guide you to the people that He wants in your life, and that you can be a blessing to them as well as they can be a blessing in your life. And that's how that's what relationships are for, is to bless each other. That's what we're here for. So if you're not feeling blessed in your relationship, if you feel like it's dragging you down, then you need to walk away. Even if it's just for a short time, and pray about it and ask God to help that person to see the error of their ways or whatever. But if they do or don't, you still have to take care of your needs and yourself first and foremost, and then you can maybe go back to that relationship when there's been some healing done and they're ready to make positive changes in their lives. If not, just say, I'm better off without that person.
I broke up with a boyfriend and did it poorly, and so never made an effort to get back in touch. I feel guilty about that. But the boyfriend I went back to is the person I've been married to for 28 years. So it was a good decision.
I once took my buddy's little brother out for his 21st birthday. I ended up getting my jaw broken because of it. I says, if this is the kind of people my buddy's gonna bring into my life, I gotta let him go. Best birthday present he'll ever get.
I had this really horrible boyfriend, and I had to cut him out because he, kind of going back to being a strong woman, he just expected me to do things that I didn't want to do, and controlling, and I don't want people like that in my life to be controlling. Once I realized that he was making me less of a person that I want to be, it was kind of just a toxic situation, and I realized that I'm not going to let people do that to me.
I recently went through a breakup of 6 or 7 years. I guess that's really the only time I've had to do that. But yeah, I guess it was kind of a stereotypical relationship where it's not working, but you keep trying even though there's really no point. I guess after so many years, you just want to like keep going. Like I know like the sunk cost fallacy and all of that stuff, but I guess everybody's victim to it, even if you're very well aware of that concept. Yeah, so I guess maybe 4 months ago we split up. And I guess it's probably the only time that I've like cut somebody out of my life. Definitely sad, and like you miss having someone like that. Like it's definitely for the better, and it's kind of like a breath of relief knowing that you don't have to kind of put yourself through that anymore.
I have a pretty complicated relationship with my sister, and I don't think she's a bad person or malicious intent, but I do believe in protecting my peace, and so I definitely kind of decided that it wasn't probably a good, healthy relationship. So I cut her out, but I still, I'm cheering her on from the sidelines and behind the scenes, still hoping that she can make good decisions and do good for herself.
Well, from time to time, you realize that people can be kind of poison and they're dragging you down. You might try to help them and bring them up and realize, no, I got to avoid a double drowning here. You learn that in life-saving class, avoid a double drowning. So I just have to get away from this guy. And you might still wish the best for him, and might pray for him, but to be in close contact with somebody who's poison to you, it's just not a good thing. It poisons you. But the main thing from an experience like that is don't be poisoned by it. Hope the best for them. They say when you forgive somebody, it's like heaping burning coals on their head, and that's biblical. And God gives pretty good advice. If I give you advice, well, so what? But if God gives you advice, He kind of knows what's going on. So forgive that person so it doesn't poison you. So sometimes you just have to cut people out of your life. Well, just recently, we said we're not going to travel with these people anymore. That's that.